in the background. I don't need that headache. What an annoying day it's been so far. Jamie the Crickets. Started well, things went smoothly. Came to New York, it's a weekend. The Hilton property that I booked said that there was parking, self-park, 22 pounds. A little pricey, but okay. It is in New York, it's a tourist center. So I get here, there's no parking. You have to park 15 minutes away. So I drove, and there was a line of 30 cars there. There was no spaces. I tried to pre-book, nothing. I drove around for an hour and 20 minutes, and now I've lost my reading glasses, so I can't see. Yeah, I finally found a retail park with a Starbucks, and I stopped there. I'm echoing? Why is that? That doesn't make any sense. Okay. All right, well, I don't understand why there's an echo here. Let me go to that. Okay, that's strange. Why is it not going to my YouTube channel? Come on. More importantly, I'm asking if you guys can hear the music. I don't need to. Yeah, I don't. Tips of success on YouTube. I don't want this now. It's stupid tips for success. Take me to my channel. People are really trying hard to be difficult and annoy me today. Yeah, I hear you. You're not spelling echo correct. If you want my attention, it's ECHO. All right, so I'm trying to load this now. The music is annoying. It's really irritating the hell out of me. It's crappy music for starters. I hear that now. Okay, let's try this. All right, is that better? Let's see if that's any better. I took the microphone off. I don't know why it's echoing. Let's see if that's any better. That's a lot better, yeah. A lot better. No, I don't have two speakers on. I was using this microphone. I don't know why it's doing that. But it's not doing it now. What about the music? I want to know if you guys can hear the music. That's why I had that microphone on, because it cancels music. I don't know if you guys can hear the music. That's why I had that microphone on, because it cancels music. I don't really hear the music in the background. Do you? Well, this shouldn't be awesome sound. It should be average sound. I don't know why it's doing that. Anyway, I'm not a happy camper right now. I've been to New York many, many times, and this is the least pleasant arrival I've ever had. Ridiculous. Nowhere to park, and you can't stop somewhere because you get a fine because it's no stopping zones anywhere. There's nowhere to pull over, so you just drive around endlessly for an hour plus. It's ridiculous. Yeah. Anyway, so very frustrating, very annoying. The Bulls are getting slaughtered right now. Last I saw by the Lions. I'm not sure why there was feedback. That didn't make any sense. Anyway, let me just take a look here real quick. So I can barely see you guys. So let me come back here to the chat because I don't have my reading glasses now. So yeah, no, I finally found a Starbucks. I pulled in and I pulled the papers out to try to figure out where to find one of these park houses that the hotel gave me. They're all 15-minute walk. There's parking at the Keep just across the creek here, but I drove around there for 25 minutes. People parked in 2 spaces and blocking spaces. I couldn't get in, and then you have these jerk-offs that go and sit in their car. They come back to their car and they sit in their car. It's a perfectly fine day to sit outside. There's park benches, but they got to sit in their car. And people wait. Yeah, I know Neil passed away. I did a tribute to him on X, on Twitter. Yep. Yeah, it's another crappy part to the day too. So, yep. Anyway, yes, I heard about Neil Utopi. You guys obviously don't follow my Twitter account, do you? People don't follow my Twitter account. Picture's not freezing. It's on your end, Lana. Picture's not freezing. I'm watching it through a feed in States. I'm using a VPN here on my laptop, and I can see my face moving in the States. So if I'm getting a feed from here over my mobile, going to YouTube server, reaching back to the States, and it's not freezing here, then it's your connection. They're both part of the 11 Commando. There you go, Alan. Very kind of you to say that about Neil. Yeah, let me get to my Twitter account. Let's see what I wrote earlier. I'll read it to you guys. Yeah. Sorry, Lana, if you're having a bad connection. I was just worried about the music in the background because it's very distracting. It's very loud. I'm the only person in the entire. I mean, this place is huge. Let me show you how big this place is. Let me get the camera open there. Okay, so come on. There you go. So look at this. Look how big the place is. You see that? There's people outside. Music's playing out there too. But this is the lounge area and the reception at the hotel, and there's like 250 seats in the place, and the music is cranked up as if I'm in a nightclub. So, kind of irritating, to say the least. So, anyway, I guess I'm becoming Clint Eastwood, get off my lawn, you know? Anyway, So let me get to my profile, and I'll read to you what I wrote about Neil Debeer earlier today. Okay, so I said, Biz News announced today the passing of UIM President and Cape Town Councillor Neil Debeer. Loved and hated alike, Neil evoked emotions, good and bad, among pretty much anyone who knew of him or knew him. I met him 5 years ago, long after his role in MK and the ANC. I gave him the benefit of the doubt and interviewed him. In the 5 years I knew him, Neil was always honest with me, always made time to discuss and comment on issues that affected South Africa, never misled me, and opened a few doors for me as well. The character of a man is one of the few things one can take responsibility for as human beings. I did not know Neil during apartheid or his years in the ANC, and cannot speak to his character or motivations then. I can only speak of the person whom I knew. I will miss the irrepressible spirit, the love of South Africa, the enthusiasm that he was, the way he moored the evildoers, the commitment to improving lives, and the friendship we shared for the brief period I knew him. Neil's passing will sadden many, thrill a few, but only the dishonest will claim he did not make an impact. The end of a long and eventful journey has arrived. Fair winds and smooth sailing, Neil Debeer. Rest in peace. So that's what I wrote today. And that has 13,000 views. Wow, that's more than I expected. More than I expected. Let's see what some people said. Heinz says, a man that openly admitted that he stood with MK as he believed at the time it was the right thing to do. Like he turned against the corrupt ANC in current days, he always stood for what he thought was right. One man I can say with pride that as an Afrikaner I managed to forgive. And not to hate. I can't read these tributes. I need to leave that for now. I need to leave that for now. I took a lot of grief for interviewing Neil and then befriending him and accepting his friendship from a lot of people who just hated him. And I like what Heinz said there. So, the guy stood up for what he thought was right. All the time. The truth changes, folks. The truth changes. That's the thing about the world. As evil as the ANC is, there's a possibility that some of them could change and become good people. And if they become good people, can we forgive them then? One would hope so. One would hope so. Anyway. Yeah, sorry about that. I did not expect to get hit that hard by that just then, so, oof. Sorry about that, folks. Yeah, that's, ooh, boy. All right, so let's get Peter Rabbit out. Let's see what Peter's got to say. Oh, my goodness. Okay, yeah, so the microphone, I don't know why this thing was echoing. It's weird. So, where's the case at? Oh, my goodness. Now I've lost the case from my microphone, too. Gee, many crickets. Things are not going well this afternoon. Yeah, there it is. No, that's not it. That's a charger. Gee, many crickets. What is going on here? Things disappearing left and right here on me. All right. I don't know what's going on here, but something's... But first off, that's not supposed to be there. How did that get out of the bag? What the hell is going on there? That fell out of the bag. Gee, many cricket. There it is. Jeez. Make sure I got the rest of the stuff I need in here. There's one of them. Okay. There's the other. Okay. That's just crazy stuff right there. Okay. All right. Now we got it. Okay. All right. Everything's there. All the pieces there. Oof. That is supposed to not be with that cord. My goodness. Anyway. Gee, many crickets. That goes in there. What a mess. Look at that. Look at that. Total knob job here, man. This thing's all knotted up. It's like I'm being sabotaged by myself. Lazy packing here. So I'm always very circumspect about how I pack things, and I never lose anything. So I'm really pissed about those reading glasses. So I had them, and because of driving and parking and out of sorts nonsense, I really, I'm beginning to find it much more challenging to come to the UK. It's okay. Where the hell did that go now? Did I just put that in there? I did, dummy. Yeah, so let's take that out. Yeah, it's becoming much more challenging here. It's not fun. The parking is a nightmare. You're constantly getting harassed on the highway with the speed limits changing up and down just to give people tickets. Everything is set up to screw motorists in this country. It really is. It's disgusting. Very frustrated. And the public transportation sucks, so it's not like it's an alternative. It doesn't get you where you need to go when you need to go there. So not like Germany where you can hop on public transport and get anywhere you need to go at any time of day. It's a little different here. But anyway. Sorry, not trying to bash the UK, just a little frustrated by things. So, hey, Rena, what's going on? Okay, you're welcome for the update. Well, is it Sue77? I don't know. It was a failure. He did what he thought was right at the time. People do what they think is right at the time. It's like my analysis. I'll analyze something. I'll make a prediction like I just did for the ANC in the next municipal elections. I made a prediction yesterday and published that last night. The truth can change. If the truth changes, I'll adjust my, I'm not going to be stubborn. Now, my 2021 prediction of 38 to 42% is stuck with because the underlying information, even though it changed in a way that it offset the changes. And in the end, I could have been wrong, but at the last minute, Sir Ramaphosa decided to sign the National Health Insurance Initiative. And when he did that, he pissed off a lot of people in the black middle class, and he lost those votes. So, well, thank you, Joy. That's kind of you to say. Kind of you to say. Well, Hendo, it's raining there. It's cloudy and overcast up here in the Viking heartland of Jorvik, but it's not raining at the moment. But it looks like it could rain any time, so we'll see. We will see. Just got home from work. It was quite a shock to get the news. Yeah, Rena, I think for a lot of people it might have been a shock, but for those in the know, it wasn't a shock. We knew this was coming. He had been in hospice for a couple days, and usually when you get to hospice, that's the end of the road, unfortunately. So yeah, it's the irrepressible spirit is gone. The light is extinguished, but that does happen. That's the nature of life, ladies and gentlemen. I can sit here and moan about the parking, walking around for an hour, and driving around for an hour and 20 minutes trying to find parking, but that's today. 40 years from now, I probably won't be around. I'd like to be around in 40 years. That take me out to the century mark, but you never know. Life is capricious, and our existence is ephemeral. You're here, and you're gone eventually. Hopefully you go in a peaceful way that's not painful when you go, and hopefully you've experienced a wonderful life and made a difference in the world. Whatever happens to me going forward from this date, I know I made a difference in this world and made life better for so many people that it makes life a lot easier to deal with. Yeah, so do we have regrets? I have lots of regrets in life. I regret that I didn't become an astronaut. I would like to become an astronaut. It would have been great. I regret that I wasn't adamant in forcing the Army to take a closer look at my hip 30 years ago, 20 years ago, 25 years ago, 15 years ago, 10 years ago. And now I'm almost crippled because of it. So, yeah, I regret that. Yeah, we have regrets in life. We've all done things that we're not proud of or we're ashamed of. But as long as you haven't mistreated other people or animals, then it's not so bad. Do I really think those exist? What exists, Dylan? All the girls on this channel going to America. Looks like more girls than guys. JJ Kruger, it's just a question. The ladies like to chat more than the men. Yeah, they do. And women are more empathetic, generally speaking. It's a stereotype, I know, but there's truth to that stereotype. And I think it comes because of the nature of DNA, the deoxyribonucleic acid, and the makeup of men and women. Women are by nature mothering, and I don't want to hear from the leftist hate wankers saying that that's nonsense. It's true. It's encoded in DNA. You look at how birds take care of their young. Look at animals in the wild kingdom. In nature, who mother and shield and protect their young. It's the same with humans in our species. Women tend to be more empathetic, just the way they're built. The chromosomes dictate that. So I suspect we're seeing a lot of women chat and comment tonight on the loss of Neil Debeer because women just generally tend to be more empathetic. It's not a hard and fast rule. You know, but I'm just saying. True change from participating during CODESA, the local government sphere, to the refugee hopeful. There you go, Adrian Karstens. Any news in the U.S. delegation that came south? I'm not aware of any U.S. delegation that came south. Which delegation is this? Old soldiers never die, Colonel. Yes, you're right, Edward. Yeah, you're right, Ruben. Hey, Emery. Well, thank you, Irina. It's very kind of you. Guys, get me all choked up again. Get me all choked again. I'm not scared of dying. I'm scared of lying on my deathbed and never live. Yeah, I'm with you, Louis. Is it Harhoff? I can't. I don't have the reading glasses. Yeah, no. See, that's the thing, guys. When I was a young trooper, when I was just 18, 19 years old, and I was in Germany, I made $159 every 2 weeks. $318 a month is what I cleared because I had money going to my education account, I had money going to a savings account, and I had paid taxes and all the other stuff. And plus my salary was just very low. So I made $159 every 2 weeks. And I burned through that money pretty quickly. But I was still saving at the time. Money was being put aside in savings bonds and my education to pay for school. And so I was saving for the future, even though I was enjoying life. And the thing about it is that I knew a lot of people. There's this one guy that worked in the motor pool. He was a mechanic, and he worked his tail off, worked long days, 10, 12, 14 hours a day, you know, all week long, sometimes on the weekends because he was needed in the motor pool. And he would never go anywhere. He was bankrolling all of his money, and he had a ton of cash when he got out of the Army. I don't know if he started a business, maybe started his own auto body shop, I don't know. But he banked all that money, and he never went anywhere. I think he went to Oktoberfest once for a weekend in his 3 years in Germany. I went everywhere. I started off my first trip to Eder Oberstein before they built the monstrosity that is a road over the river. They built that road over the river to speed up the traffic through town. But Eder Oberstein, before that thing was built back in the 1980s, in Trier. After Trier and Eder Oberstein, Pat McMullen and I and friends drove down to Oktoberfest after our exercise on Reforger, Return of Forces to Germany. And from then on, we just did it. Pat and I, no, I'm sorry, we went to Oktoberfest, but then our trip on Labor Day weekend, Pat and I drove from Bad Kreuznach in his Volvo station wagon with our sleeping bags and our kit and a cooler. We drove down, we went to the Hofbräu house, then we went and parked outside of Dachau, got up, saw the concentration camp at Dachau the next day. Dachau, then we went over to the Olympic Park and the BMW factory, and so we went to Olympic Park. I purchased my Bayern München sweatshirt, not a hoodie, they didn't have hoods on them back then, it was just a sweatshirt, and became a Bayern München fan instantly, even though I don't like football. And then we went downtown, saw the Glockenspiel downtown in Munich. And from there, we headed down towards Garmisch. We went to Garmisch. Pat and I got to Garmisch, and these was still the heyday of the U.S. military forces in Germany. There were so many military forces. We had, 250,000 Army troops there, 300,000, something like that, or more. It was crazy. And then we had 100,000 Air Force. Anyway, so there were Americans everywhere, bases everywhere. And so we went to Garmisch, and there were 7 hotels in Garmisch at the time, something like that. The Patton and the von Steuben and a whole bunch of others. Anyway, so the Abrams. We went, and there were no rooms because it was Labor Day weekend. So we went to the Abrams, and we got some ice from the restaurant at the Abrams Hotel, refilled our cooler. We went to the American Steakhouse. They used to have an American Steakhouse. Thank you, Werner, for that 70 Rand super chat. Went to the American Steakhouse and had a steak for dinner. It's one of the few times I've gone to steak dinner. And then we drove up into the mountains out of Garmisch towards Innsbruck, still in Germany, and parked on the side of a hill and woke up beautiful sunrise in the Alps. And then we drove down through the border and down the mountain into Austria, went to Innsbruck. We went up to the Olympic Park where I wanted to see we saw the ski jump, the Sprungschanze. And one thing I wanted to see, I was still in love with Dorothy Hamill from when I was a kid, and she got the gold medal in Innsbruck in '76, and there's her name on the bronze plaque. So we went there, and we walked around the park up there a little bit, and then we left Innsbruck, we drove west, we went towards Vorarlberg, and drove all the way through Austria, went to Liechtenstein, drove up in the mountains, up to Maulboon, which is a little mountain village in the back of Liechtenstein, and it's basically in a U shape, the mountain, and so the village is at the bottom, and we went up to the top of the mountain, to the cable car, then climbed up the top, and then came back down, walked around, got to the border with Switzerland and Austria, and from there we drove over to Zurich. You went to Zurich? I went to Zurich, yeah. And then we went over from there, we went to France. We paid 23 Swiss francs to stay in that room that night. 2 beds in the room. Pat McMullen and I split that. It cost me 11.50, you know, 11.50 Swiss francs, and it was about 2.7 or 2.8 to 1. So it was dirt cheap, like $6 to stay there. It was incredible. And that was with breakfast, and it was a beautiful spot. It's my first time in Melbourne. I absolutely loved it. And of course, I always liked Liechtenstein because, well, once again, the '76 Olympics, Hani Wenzel and her brother, they were big-time skiers back then for Liechtenstein and medalists in the Olympics. And then from there, Switzerland, then on to St. Louis, France, and then back. And that was, so my point of telling the story, folks, is that you've got to live life. Now, I always saved and planned for the future as if I was going to live forever. I was responsible, pay my bills first, invest, then enjoy life. But I've always done it on the cheap. You know, I used to carry lunch meat around in a cooler, or stop at a metzgerei and a bäckerei, get the bread and meat, and you know. So I've always tried to do things as reasonable as possible. I never stay in expensive places, just as long as they're clean and safe is the key thing. When I went to Scandinavia, I tried to stay in youth hostels because hotels were so expensive back then. I didn't make much money, and hotels back then were, you know, now it's commonplace for hotels to be $100, $150 a night, but back then they were $150, $200 a night because the exchange rate, and it was just so expensive because the taxes in Scandinavia. So I would stay in youth hostels for $20 or $30, and it was nice. It was all right. So I've always tried to do things. And here's the other thing, you know, as Americans serving in Germany, we were exempt from the taxation. We were exempt from the taxation on petrol. So the petrol was about the same price as the States. We'd have coupons. We'd go to the Aral stations, or the Esso, more likely, on the Autobahn, or any Esso station in Germany, used the coupons. And then later they came out with a card for that. But I would carry a 5-gallon petrol can and have a rental car, drive down to the border, fill up at the Esso station on the border with Austria, and then drive over Austria, go down to Italy, go to Switzerland, you know, stuff like that. And not pay the price Europeans were paying for petrol, so I could see so much more. The point is, I skied, I took cruises, I mountain climbed, I went ice skating. I did all the things that I wanted to experience in life when I was physically capable and before I got older. And that's the key, folks. You've got to take care of your bills and be responsible, but you also need to experience life. If you don't experience life, then you'll regret it. You'll be on your deathbed, or you'll be infirm at some point in life, and you'll be like, oh, I could have, I would have, I should have, but I didn't, and you don't want to have regrets. We're hoping to find a true gentleman in America. Our grandkids are going to be telling the tale of Colonel Chris, who helped and inspired so many of us so they could have an opportunity to live. Well, Shannon, that's very kind of you. If only. If only. You know, it's fascinating. I give Rebecca Davis a hard time because she gets a lot of things incorrect, because I don't know if she's lazy or just stubborn. But I will give her credit and thank her, because she's also mischaracterized me several times. But the Daily Mavericks, Rebecca Davis, did call me a towering figure in the refugee movement. I don't know that that's who I am, but a lot of people seem to think that's who I am. I'm just a guy that cares, that's trying to make a difference in the world, folks, and has lost his reading glasses and is pissed off. I'll be chuffed if they're in the car. I hope they're in the car. If not, they're at the Starbucks, and they're probably being collected up by somebody by now. Anyway, I hope they're in the car. But yeah. Anyway, so yeah. So Rhodesian farmers came to South Africa. Now they're going to USA. Yeah, expat families, Debeer, that's true. Rhodesians left. A lot of them did. When they left the second time around, 20 years later, 2000. Excuse me. A lot of them had to go to Nigeria or Russia or a place like that. Okay, let me just check on the game, folks. It is 25-5, 55 minutes into the game, and the Lions are destroying the Bulls at Emirates Park, Ellis Park in Joburg. and the Lions have the ball back at their goal line, and they're coming to the near side. I wanted to do the game, but I'm not convinced it's a wise idea to do on Rugby Ascendant for the next game. What do you guys think? Should I try to do the game? I don't know if I want to watch the game. Oh, the Bulls just intercepted a pass on the wing, and look at this. Oh, then they throw it away. Anyway. Okay. Get rid of the bunny? What do you mean get rid of the bunny? Nomolo spoke on... I didn't see that, Krista. Get rid of the bunny. As I said, he's the one that messed your bag. No, he's not the one that messed up. Driving around being frustrated and not losing my temper for an hour and 20 minutes really boiled up all the anger and bile in me. I was so frustrated with the parking situation. I mean, who builds hotels without parking? I understand that in urban centers, oftentimes you can't have the parking in your building, but you have parking that, everywhere I've ever been in life, if the hotel doesn't have parking, it's someone else's parking. There's always a section of the parking garage for the hotel. That's not the case here. And even if there was, I couldn't ever got into the one called the Shambles, which that's actually a good description for the park garage, the Shambles, because there were people blocking the road. There's only one way in, one narrow street, and there were like 13, 15 cars blocking the way, so I never could have got in there. Maybe take a break today. We'll watch on TV. Okay. Ulrich wants me to do it. The problem is the music. It's hard for me to focus, although I could put the headphones on and do it. So, yeah. Anyway. But I would like to do it. The problem is I'm going to have to charge my phone, too, because I need it for the rugby game after this. But I should be able to get a pretty good quick charge on it. The car does a good job charging the SUV. It's a Kia Sportage, which is actually pretty nice. What did J.J. Kruger say? Not interested in what they have to say. It's always feeling hatred. Who? Ronnie Lamola? Email is the best way, Esmari. Okay, so... Oh, what's this? Yeah, I hope it's in the car too. Because, I mean, you kind of custom pick a pair. I got two pair. Actually, I just realized I've got emergency ones here. I've got the Army glasses here, I think, in here. So, there we go. Always have an emergency. And also got this pair here. Oh, look at that. Silly me. I do have glasses. I can read. Silly boy. But I still want the other pair because they're just awesome. All right, so I bought these ones. They were like 70% off when the drugstore went out of business. Foster Grants. They're not ideal, but they're... Okay, how the hell do you open them? How do you open them? Does it pop open or what? I had them open before. There we go. See, they're kind of weird ones, so they're not ideal. They're like this. Ooh, that makes a world of difference. Whoa, I can read now. This make countries like you did. I know you paid for most of it yourself, most of the time you spent on updating stuff. Yeah, no, Rena, I did, but I've always traveled on the cheap. I mean, I did things, like I have a cooler in the car right now, which has got lunch meat in it and got drinks in it, because I'm not going to pay £5 for a burger at Burger King at a roadside rest stop. Yeah, no, I got it open. It just took a few moments. That little button didn't want to quite cooperate. Yeah, it just barely goes in. You can see right there, this piece right here, it barely moves. Here, look. See, it barely moves. Hey, these are Foster Grants. So, oh, you couldn't see that. I just realized that was off. Let me see. I do it over here. Maybe you can see a little bit better. Here's the camera. Let's see. There you go. So now you can see it. I'm not getting rid of the bunny, man. Fiona says, we appreciate you in South Africa. Thank you, Fiona. Okay. Ramolo spoken. Raise your hands if you think Colonel should be president. I don't know about that. Yep, Neil's motto was never give up. I agree. Oops. Are these damaged? Let me see a second here. So here's these Army glasses. These are bifocals the Army gave me after I tore my retina. So these... So in order for me to talk to you guys, I'm going to have to either look, the phone is here, and I have to go like this, because the bifocal's down there. I can do this over here. So they're not going to function very well. So I need to put those back, but that's last resort. I've always got those. I never wear them. But these here, this will do the trick. Esmari, what do you need to contact me about? Are you able to share it here, or is it private? By the way, did anybody watch the video? Let's see. I haven't even checked the stats. Well, not a lot of people. The Uncommon Courage from Dante from Vike, 22,000. So not a lot, but some. And I got a couple EFF toads on there. I gave them a little, I moored a couple of them. Yep. Yep. It's not letting me do the translation now. I was doing translation earlier. So anyway, yeah, so that one, last night, he contacted me, and we did an interview like midnight his time. So, and I had trouble with the connection on his end. So, yeah, so congratulations, Dante, but he's got a big target on his back. So we did open up for Dante the donation if I want to donate. That's on the channel. So let me see. Okay, cool. All right. I realized I had a couple spelling errors in that tribute to Neil. Shame on me. Let me get this here real quick. I want to see the link. Let's see, because he said some of my viewers donated. I donated 1,000 Rand last night. Give, send, go. That's the one. Give, send, go. Yes, go to site. Take me there. Okay. So he's up to 25,000 Rand now. I'm going to guess a lot of viewers, my viewers did that. So show top donations. I want to see all of them. Somebody gave 2,500. Another gave 2,000, 1,200, 1,000, 1,000 for me, 1,000 for another, 1,000 for another from Ernst. Yep, yeah. So Dante had 4,000 when I saw that. So since I've run the video, he's added 21,000 21,000 Rand people are donating to him. So if you guys want to help him out, you know, got to understand this guy can't get a job because people are afraid, and rightly so, that if they give him a job, broke the story with Carl Niehaus commenting, and off, of course, look who's coming, how bad they're treated. The EFF is treated bad. So you're going to find a map, you can confirm the state. What's this? Hang on a second there. John Jarvis. How you doing, John? Long time no see. Katie. Okay, where's there? It is. John Jarvis. Can I find a map? Can you confirm the statement made by ex-Prime Minister Peter Force that South African tribe was given land and granted autonomy in 1948? John, that's a loaded question, my friend. There is, I believe, some truth to that, but I don't have that information at hand here. SABC just broke the story with Carl Niehaus commenting, and of course, all of the EFF commenting how bad they're treated. The EFF treated badly? No, it's because they're evil bastards. That's why. No one's treated them badly. Yeah, the Bulls are getting another hiding today. What about my Griquas, man? First place on the log. Man, oh man, oh man. Isn't that amazing? Isn't that amazing? So it's 25-5 now with just 17 minutes left in the game. The Bulls are driving. Zach Berger just handed the ball off to somebody, and the Bulls lost it. And now the Lions have it back. But yeah, man, oh man, the Griquas, the Cavaliers, they're coming up next. That's the game I want to cover. So maybe I should try to cover that. Now that I got these glasses, I can watch. But I know I need to go get my headset in order to pull that off. The headset's in the room, so. Happy you mentioned the Greek was. Oh, Leslie, I'm sure you were. We were over the moon yesterday. So was I. It was amazing. But you guys can't hear the music, right? It's not a problem in the background, right? I mean, I hope not. We got a little bit of super chat there. You were saying, what was I saying about Dante? So the Lions are kicking some ass there, man. Anyway. Huh. Well, Anne-Marie, I just saw your post on my Twitter. You said, every day you show us your man of values and moral standing. You gave Neil the benefit of the doubt. And like always, you were proven right. You've shown us that people should be accepted for who they are by their actions today and not judged by their past. Well, I mean, you know, if people do evil, it doesn't mean we have to forgive entirely and forget. But Neil never did evil. He just sided with people that not everybody liked. Anyway, so yeah, that's pretty cool. Pretty cool. Thank you for that, Anne-Marie. Now, Oh, there's a high tackle. My goodness. My goodness. There's some headhunting going on there. Oof. Took out the Lions player. Looks like Cornell did it. Do I have my... I don't even know if I have my lineouts. I printed them out, but I don't know if I have them here. I brought them with me here. I don't think I've got them. So I don't even have the lineouts. So that's going to be problematic for me to call the game without the lineouts. So I don't know. But that game is in half an hour, so... I don't think many of you tune in for that. Some of you will. You're very dedicated viewers, and I appreciate that. Well, this is going to be a card, I think. Yeah, I think that's going to be a card. That was very dangerous. High tackle. It was unnecessary, too, so I think it's going to be a card. EFF court case interview video. Is that mine? Okay. Starship 10. Yeah, no, it was amazing. It was brilliant. They landed, the booster landed, and the ship landed. The ship landed in Indian Ocean, if I'm not mistaken. Booster back in Texas. Yep. Work people. Hello to you. Pizza. You're gonna make a pizza? That sounds good. Something shouting. Don't sound like music. Okay, well there are people shouting, but if you don't hear the music, that's the key thing because I don't want to copyright. Can hear the music, but can't hear what's being sung. Okay, that's cool. Zelda says loud and clear. What's loud and clear? Me or the music? And Napoleon can hear every word of it. Well, I guess I'll find out if I get a strike. Hopefully I won't get a strike. That'll suck. Did you ever meet Eben Barlow? No, I never met him, but I have been in touch with Eben. I have not met him in person. We've chatted on WhatsApp several times. I was supposed to see him last time. It just didn't work out. Yeah, Carl Nyhorst he's just silly. He needs to keep to himself. Barbara did watch the interview with Dante. Bunny envy. Yeah, a lot of people are envious of my rabbit, man. Everybody wants a piece of the rabbit. Everybody wants Peter Rabbit. And bugger off Bunny. Is Alt's leaving? Lions are killing him. Hey, Andre Mostart. Tortoise is not a turtle. Yeah, be careful which side the Colonel can read now. I've got reading glasses on so I can read. Yeah, these actually look pretty good on me, don't they? Yep. And the other ones are kind of a little tinted, so they're not perfect. I was upset that none of the Afrikaners were willing to finish. Yeah, I think a lot of people are going to be pissed when they found that out. I didn't know that. And a lot of people are rushing out to take credit for it, but apparently the bitter enders are the only ones that really stuck by him. Yes, in 1970, the Greekos won the Curry Cup. Yeah, Pete Fisagi was playing for them, okay. Monarchies Woo, okay. Ever going to benefit all the demographics? Yeah, diversity can work, guys. Look, it doesn't necessarily make you stronger. Diversity can be very divisive, but it can work. But true diversity, not diversity of appearance, not diversity of faith, not diversity of ethnicity, diversity of thought. That's what works. So if you get someone who comes in and joins your team who has very different experiences, they can bring a wealth to your organization. But, you know, one of these, one of those, one of these, one of those. We got a woman, we got a guy, we got a trans, we got a straight, we got a gay, we got a black, we got a red, we got a blue, we got a green, we got a Muslim, we got a Christian, we got a Jew. That's not diversity. That's bullshit. That's not diversity. Because if everybody has the same experience and they all think the same, that's the problem with the Army. That's why. So not from the diversity, equity, inclusion standpoint, but the concept of Army leadership. For years, I was like, this is insane. Every Army officer going up does the exact same thing. Maybe not the same place, but the same thing. In order to get promoted, you have to be a platoon commander, or we say platoon leader. Then you have to be an XO for a company. Then you have to be a company commander. Then you have to be an XO or S3 at battalion or brigade. Then you have to be a commander, battalion, and then brigade. And the same thing over and over again. And they all do the same thing. Anyone who does anything unusual gets punished. The fact that I made full colonel is a miracle, folks, ladies and gentlemen. I was never a platoon commander. I spent my time doing the hard job as an S2, an intelligence officer in a battalion, in combat and otherwise. I was never a executive officer for a company because I was never assigned to a company. I was assigned to staffs. And then I was a brigade 2 when I should have been a company commander. And then eventually I got a command, but it wasn't a company. It was a detachment. And some people look at that, ooh, a detachment. It's not really a company. But my mission was much more challenging than in a company, than a rifle company. And, you know, so I was never battalion commander, never brigade commander, never executive officer, never an S3. But I did all those functions and more. And in the end, I was rewarded for excellence, not because I checked the block, but People check the block and they do okay, and they get promoted all the way up to general officer. But they're all the same. They all have the same worldview. They all don't know jack shit about strategy, about geopolitics. You know, the Army, the first time they teach, the U.S. Army, the first time they begin teaching geopolitics and strategy to officers is when they're lieutenant colonels or colonels at the War College. It's too late. You need to inculcate that interest and that desire to know that stuff much sooner in life. That needs to be done when officers are captains. I had this discussion with one of my former students who later became an instructor at the War College, and he disagreed vehemently. He said, no, captains need to know how to lead in combat. Yeah, but you also need to introduce them to the Arthashastra, to Thucydides, to Sun Tzu. These are things they need to know about as captains. They don't have to be experts in it. They don't have to be subject matter experts. They simply need to be introduced to it so they can start learning about it. If you wait until that officer becomes a full colonel, it's too late. They're set in their ways. They have not learned. They have not developed that concept that you got with Petraeus. Petraeus is a scholar and a leader. And, you know, that's ideally what you want. You want leaders who think, leaders who challenge their subordinates, leaders who look to history, leaders who look to political science. And the U.S. Army just doesn't do that until it's too late. This is one of the problems I have with U.S. Army. And so you wind up with cookie cutter approaches. And I can tell you the number of general officers that I knew who didn't know jack shit about the world. They knew nothing about Africa, they knew nothing about the Middle East until they were sent there. And it's insane. So I'll tell you an anecdotal story when I was in Bosnia. So I was in Bosnia. I had been there for like a week and a half or 2 weeks. And I was in this wooden structure we had built out back. No, it was before the wooden structure. It was in a crappy building that was on the air base there at Tuzla. And I was back there, and up on the screen, we had a projection up, and I had PowerPoint slides, or Harvard Graphics, whichever we were using that. I don't remember. It might have been Harvard Graphics. And I had it up on the screen, and I had a map up there, and I was teaching a couple junior counterintelligence agents about things. And next thing I know, there were like 15 soldiers found their way in there, all listening to this. And at the end of the conversation, after I answered a bunch of questions, because I was talking about the Serbs and the Croats and the Muslims, the Bosniaks, and about the Battle of the Kosovo Plogi in 1389, how it was the founding of the Serbian nation, and how the Ottomans were there, and these are mostly secular Muslims, just so they could keep their property and vote and that sort of thing. And so I went through all of this stuff, and I talked about the history and what's going on. At the end of that, one of the NCOs, non-commissioned officers, who was there on individual employment from Fort Bragg, said to me, he said, Captain Wyatt, how do you know all this stuff? I mean, is this part of your mission? I said, no, not necessarily. I'm stationed in Italy, and this is not really my mission. But you know, I'm an intelligence professional. He's like, huh? He goes, well, we're from Fort Bragg, you know, and our mission is just Latin American, so we don't really focus on that. I said, well, Sergeant so-and-so, I forget his name now, I said, Staff Sergeant, ask me about the North Korean threat. We can talk about that. Ask me about what's happening in Papua New Guinea. Ask me about what's happening in Sri Lanka. Ask me what's happening in Argentina or Chile. I may not be a subject matter expert, but I know enough about it that you can throw me into it and I can learn very quickly. And what's interesting for me is that a lot of people in the Army, and not just that in life, they never look beyond what's in front of them. And I don't expect everybody to be experts in history or political science. Then we put the historians, political scientists out of business. I'm not looking for that. But I do expect people to know a little something about the world around them. Yeah. So, anyway, let me catch up on the chat here. I'm way behind on the chat. My goodness. Hello. Well, I don't care whether the music is overpowering. I care whether I'm getting a copyright strike. That's all I care about. Up for a bribe? No, not up for a bribe. No bribe rookies. If Zuma dies, who benefits the most? When MK voters return the ANC? I don't know. I think at this stage MK might survive, but in a smaller version than it currently is. Nozipo Dlamini. Interesting question. Why are you asking that question, brother? Do you know something I don't know? Is Zuma in bad health? He is an octogenarian. What's weird is I'm strategic and analytically minded and have read various books of including Sun Tzu's book, The Forensic Investigation by Joe Navarro. I'm not a military professional. Well, that's fine, Wild Bear Prepper. You're just an informed citizen. Why did they not keep the homelands as it was managed years ago? Because South Africa ended. The homelands were kept until 1994, and then the homelands ended effectively. That's why. All right, so Dante needs to get married. And put in a statement of interest. Yeah, maybe. Well, things wrong until such time as black and power rate. Yep. Let me check in on the game. 30-5, 10 minutes left in the game. All right, so let's. I think I might be able to pull this off for the next game. I'm just gonna have to be careful there. I don't have my printed sheets here, so anyway. All right, back to the chat. So this, I didn't expect to do this stream. I've got a game at 7:30, USA and Australia. So that's at the stadium, so I'll have to head out there a little bit later on. But I got time to do this other game. Yeah, know the basics and learn a local language as much as possible. Yep. So at which point do we say diversity is not working and scrap the diversity narrative? Well, diversity for diversity's sake doesn't work. It's just BS. It's just BS to weaken a system, to weaken and to allow lunatics to take over. So diversity doesn't work for diversity's sake. Just don't buy that for a second, folks. It just doesn't work for diversity's sake. It's utter nonsense. I'm telling you that now. It's just that's how things are. But they want to play these stupid games. Again, true diversity is diversity of thought, diversity of experience, not diversity of skin color. That's just artificial. Being black and being white doesn't make you smarter, dumber, better, worse. Who you are makes you that. Now, the problem is that those things come with different cultures, and those different cultures don't always work together. The Bulls played very badly since the third game of the season, so. I see they're colluding again to change the Gun Control Act. I'm not surprised me. Zippo says his 4.6 million voters probably care. No, you didn't get 4.6 million. Where are you getting that figure from? That's not even remotely true. Not even remotely true. There aren't 4.6 million voters, no Zippo. No, they didn't get that. Last year, the ANC got 8.5 million. The DA got, what did the DA get? 3.5 million? Yeah. And the MK party got 2.8, does it sound right? Not 4.6. They didn't get 4.6, brother. No, I don't know where you're getting that figure from. Well, Napoleon, let's not start a pissing contest here. Some people do care about Zuma because they need to pay attention to him. Yeah, knowledge is power, knowing about things, but it's not power enough in its own right. So, all right, let me see. Let me see if I'll try to make this here and see if I can't do the game. Suddenly the hotel is filling up with people, and people dressed up in snazzy, fancy dress here. I don't know what's going on tonight. Let me see if I've got this here. So I've not made a slide. So it's the Sharks. I need a Sharks one. Duplicate slide. The thing is, I've got the software right here. That was smart of me. So it's today, and it's at 4 p.m., which is in 20 minutes. So that's going to be 4 p.m., 11 Eastern, 5 South Africa time. Sharks versus Cheetahs. It's Sharks versus Boland Cavaliers. Okay, Sharks 15, and that's not 9 August, but 30 August. Okay, so save Sharks versus Cavaliers, and then I can do that game. Okay, I don't want that to be a PowerPoint. I want it to be a JPEG. August. Okay, cool. Got that. Just this one. Okay, so now I've saved that. I can go into Rugby set it up, but I'm going to have to wrap this one up pretty soon if I do that. Anyway, yeah, I'm a little surprised that the Dante van Wyk interview hasn't done better. I thought it would have done better than it did, folks. Just 22,000 is a little bit underwhelming. 22,000, yeah. So let me see. It built up earlier today. But again, I'm in the UK and they're not really promoting my content, so a lot of people don't even see that. So the peak was at 7 o'clock this morning, 2,700 views. When I have a peak of 10,000, that's a good video. So that's way off the mark. But yeah, the other one that I did, Julius is not going to make 90,000, looks like. He's guilty. He's 88,600. So it's not even going to make 90,000. That's a little disappointing. I'd hope that would make 100,000. But anyway, we get what we get. We make as much as we can. It is getting a little bit of ad revenue. Thank you all for that. And it comes before the month is over, so that's kind of handy because it's salty cracks time. Why is this not on? Too many crickets. My laptop is dying because it wasn't on. Oh, UK, you've got to turn the mains on, but you can't just plug it in the wall. Ugh. Same in South Africa. I forgot to turn it on, so I didn't even realize it wasn't running off the battery. She's down 37%. That's crazy. I want to recharge my phone. We see only your content when we look for it. No mention about it. Yeah, I know, Sandra. That's the problem. They're hiding my stuff. Check your private WhatsApp after the stream. Okay, well, I got WhatsApp here now. So something for you, Anne-Marie? I see nothing from you. Let me go search it, Anne-Marie. Okay. Send me an image. Oh, you sent me a bunch of stuff here. If ever there was a Mossad plant in social media, it's a retired colonel. Thank you for that, Marie. That's funny. Let me just go. 12:54. So respond doesn't tell me when was the command. What a loser! What a loser that guy is. Oh my gosh! If ever there was a Mossad plant, what a fucking loser, man. Oh my goodness. No one is more invested in the destruction of South Africa like this American scammer. He'll be able to fool a couple gullible right-wingers like himself, but as a country, we're indestructible. Trump and Elon tried, but we're still standing. You're so sad. Please. Please. I've told this guy to stop embarrassing, stop pleasuring himself. It's embarrassing. Anyway, I don't see that other guy. Must have deleted his comment. Some really sad people out there, you know. Anyway, looking for this guy. Can't find him. Yeah, I don't see that. That coward must have deleted that statement. So let me check into the game real quick. 37-5 now. The Bulls are done. They've got the ball and they're doing nothing. They're going wide and they're running down the sideline. The chase is not very good. Bulls are off and racing. Kicks it forward and they got 3 runners and they're going to beat. It's going to run through the back of the try zone though. Yep, it got through the back of the try zone. Wow. Kuhnhorn got there and stopped them from scoring. So anyway, the Bulls almost had a try there. Shame. All right. So yeah, well, let me take a look for the day. How we're doing here, folks. Emery's chats are being deleted. Okay. Not now. She said, well, I don't know why her chat's being deleted. No, I read it. The person that wrote it's a hate wanker. They're getting deleted because she kept typing the same thing, not now. That's why. One of the moderators deleted because she kept typing the same thing over and over again. Well, sorry, Anne-Marie. I don't know. Yeah, stop deleting Anne-Marie. But Anne-Marie, quit typing the same thing. That's why they did it, okay? All right. So at what point do we... Okay, I already got that. So, all right, guys, I'm going to wrap it up here. I'm going to try to do that game, okay? But I need to go get my earphones, okay? And I'm asking if they can't turn the music down, okay? It's all good. You stop. All right, thanks. Be sure to hit the like button, folks. We got 289 likes, 290 people currently here, so somebody is sitting on their duff. And thank you for being here. Appreciate it. I'll catch you guys a little bit later, okay? Hopefully on Rugby Ascendant. I got about 15 minutes to get it set up, okay? And hopefully it'll work. Cheers.